Junior World Championship. Up next is European Talent Cup. Welcome back to the Circuito de Jerez here in Andalusia. It is Sunday, it's race day here for the FIM CEV Repsol. We've just had a brilliant Moto 3 race. If you have just joined us, we won't spoil the result for you, but you can see the height of activity that was taking place in the paddock here. This is a time-lapse, of course, from day into night, and then we went for the sun to rise, which didn't actually rise until very late this morning. It was still dark when we left our hotel at 7:30, which caught me off guard.
Yeah, a little bit. I think that's easy to forget, you know, early morning. Actually, still really the middle of the night. But yeah, it was sun came up and then started to shine over the circuit once it was past the hill and warm-up got underway, and then it's a lot warmer now, obviously. It's quite cold this morning. I don't have a jacket here.
Are you regretting that decision now?
I am indeed. I came to the south of Spain. This is what I expected all the time. I talked about the early mornings and the evenings.
It's risky strategy, that, unfortunately. Fortunately, I had the hindsight to bring a jacket. Not a very thick one, though. Fortunately, it's not too windy here. Estoril, you'd have been blown to bits, unfortunately.
Yes, definitely. I hear it was rather breezy over there.
Yeah, you're certainly right in thinking it's very much like Portimao is this weekend, actually, for superbikes. So 15 laps for the European Talent Cup at its 4.423 kilometre circuit. That's 1 lap less than we had in the Moto 3 Junior World Championship. And the riders now on their sighting lap. And, well, we have to talk, of course, about Estoril last time out, because the race, only one race, of course, was spectacular. There's no other word for it. It was red flagged about halfway into the race, and then the race result, or the grid result, I should say, for the restart, shortened to 5 laps this race, and the grid was formed, of course, on the race result up until that point. However, the pole setter for that race, Manuel Gonzalez, stalled his bike on the grid, had to start from the back, and came all the way from the lower depth of the 29s, to the 20 positions rather, all the way up into the lead of the race by the final lap. It was an incredible performance from him.
That's one of those races that you remember, I think. There's been a few. Like I think I mentioned earlier, Brad Binder's win here in the Moto 3 World Championship, amazing. Straight from the back. Reached leaders, just disappeared.
To do it in 5 laps, though.
Yeah, 5 laps is something
amazing.
Pretty special. You know, there's been a few like Marquez's Estoril 125cc attack, but yeah, certainly 5 laps is incredible, and it's always, you know, when they shorten races to that amount of distance. Like we also saw in Moto 2 in Brno. You suddenly, obviously, it's just like amps it up another level.
Just a free-for-all, isn't it, essentially?
You know, hopefully a little more organised. But, especially with these guys, obviously, you know, they're young guys. They're very, very, very eager to race and to impress and to show what they've got. And, you know, when they know it's everything on the line in 5 laps, you just get, yeah, it's an incredible show. But, yeah, it can get a little crazy.
Well, it's going to be very exciting here in the European Talent Cup. Of course, it was Edouard Melgar who is the reigning victor from Estoril. I say Estoril like it was last week. It was nearly 2 months ago, because we've had the summer break, of course. It feels like it was in another lifetime. Yeah,
certainly. I think the CEV summer break, and same as World SBK, it feels a little bit too long. But it's great, both back on track this weekend. And obviously, yeah, it's great as well that although we're sort of mid-September, it's still Jerez, beautiful weather, sunshine. Yeah, it's great to see these guys back on track, and now we're getting into the business end of the season.
Here's the man that starts on pole position, Andreas Perez, as you can see, taken 1 victory so far this season. Great result from him. He was looking very cheery as I walked down pit lane just after ETC qualifying yesterday. He was one of the only riders, actually, to improve his time in the afternoon as well. So did a really good job there, did Andreas Perez, and starts from pole position for this race on the outside. I won't say the outside, it was the outside in terms of going to the first corner, but of course the inside for the first row. Here's Miguel Parra, 15 years of age, so a year older than his compatriot on the start at the pole position. Is Miguel Parra, and as you can see, he's had a few good top 10 results, a good second place in Valencia as well for the 26, but nonetheless it'd be interesting to see whether he's able to get himself back on the podium once again and potentially even take his first ever victory. We could see that happening. You never know.
Yeah, number 26 at Jerez this year has gone pretty well, so he'll be wanting to do a bit of a Pedrosa.
He's probably about as tall as Danny as well, isn't he? So
I mean, there's a bit of an age difference there. So.
There is, quite. I mean, it's quite amazing, actually, because I saw Andreas Perez getting off of his bike yesterday, and Miguel Parra as well, and they get off their bike and you think, oh, blimey, they're really small, because they're only 14, 15 years of age.
Yeah, sometimes it's a bit of a shock when they suddenly get off the bike and you're like, wow, okay.
Best ever qualifying for Pietro Pervalainen, the Finnish rider on the number 12, 15 years old he is. As you can see, something of an inconsistent season, but when he's finished well. 4th and an 8th position for him. It'll be interesting to see whether he's able to get himself inside the top 5. He fell off, of course, spectacularly last time out in Estoril on the final lap of the race. Really big shame there for the Finnish rider. And, of course, he'll be hoping to make some inroads, potentially look at getting into Moto 3 by, or at least something like that in terms of 2020, because, of course, that's when Finland comes onto the calendar. So they'll be wanting a Finnish rider in one form or another in the championship.
Yep, exactly. It's 2019.
2019, I apologise, not 2020, yes.
No, we have Buriram, Thailand next year, and then Finland hopefully will be joining the calendar the year after the MotoGP calendar.
Exactly. There is Francisco Gomez. One DNF this season, one of the more consistent riders we've seen in this championship. As you can see, just one podium for him. Nonetheless, looking great with that team, actually, as well. He looks like he could be a real force. And he always starts. So I can hear Bonnie Tyler ringing out over the circuit's PA as we're waiting for the start of this race. Just had the tyre allocation come through, and all the riders, of course, on the medium tyre. That's the only allocation for the European Talent Cup. Here's Maikon Kawakami. Started that season so well in Albacete. Fell off the boil a little bit in Catalonia. DNF also in Valencia, and then bounced back with tremendous form in Estoril. 5th and 3rd for the PlayStation Leglise rider. Really good result there for him. He's Japanese but races under a Brazilian licence. I think his, I'm not entirely sure 100%, but I think it's his mum's Japanese or his father's Japanese. One side of the family is and one side of the family isn't, effectively. So it's very much like Franco Morbidelli, of course.
Yeah, exactly. When you've got kind of a dual heritage, obviously you can't race like that. You've got to decide what flag you're racing under. But it's certainly a more interesting one when you read his name, and then if you don't know the story behind that, see the Brazilian flag is a little not confusing, but you know there's a tale there.
Exactly. So the fans watching on here in Albacete, we're watching on as well. Can't wait to get this race underway. It's always action-packed in the European Talent Cup. If you have just joined us, by the way, for the European Talent Cup, perhaps for the first time, and you don't know anything about it, well, they all race on exactly the same motorcycle, which is why they look identical, bar the livery. Here's the man that of course, absolutely trounced the opposition last time out in Estoril, or was going to, until he finished in 2nd place in race 1. But then, of course, took that victory in race number 2. 5 podiums, 2 poles, of course, for him. Qualifying a bit further down the order than we would perhaps expect for Manuel Gonzalez. Normally, he's a good front row contender, but nonetheless, leading the championship, he is on 97 points compared to Simon Jesperson's 76. So, we're very excited to see how he will get on throughout the course of the day. Meanwhile, here is the number 23, the victor from the first race, Joan Uvinha, I apologise. Joan Uvinha, who, of course, did very well over in Albacete for the first round. A couple of DNFs in Catalonia and Valencia. And then Estoril, he was in 12th and 10th position, respectively. Again, difficult round for Joan Uvinha on the number 23. 16 years old he is, so one of the, shall we say, elder statesmen in the field. But nonetheless, looking like he could be potentially making a step up to perhaps the Junior World Championship next year. And let's not forget, of course, that's what's up for grabs. One of these riders who finishes inside the top 5 in the championship will definitely go through to the Moto 3 Junior World Championship next year, which is going to be a great incentive. Yeah,
definitely. A great opportunity. You know, there's a few incredible opportunities around now as you start to, you know, we've got a few ladders up to the World Championship and great opportunities for riders. You know, obviously, Asia Talent Cup, and then we'll have the British Talent Cup next year, and then this, and then even like the ADAC Non-Europe Cup. There's a lot of pathways now up to the Moto 3 World Championship and the Junior Moto 3 World Championship. Sorry, Moto 3 Junior World Championship. So yeah, it's great. These guys know what's at stake, and they're obviously shop window time as well, coming towards the end of the season. They all want to be on their not best behaviour, but put in their best performances they can. So yeah, we'll have to see have to see how it goes today. Obviously, some home pressure for some of these guys.
Carlos Tatai, you can see him 36th in the championship, 0 points for him. It's his first ever appearance in the Junior Moto 3 World Championship, and what a way to do it as well. Previously raced in the Moriwaki 250 Junior Cup and won the title last year. Unbelievable stuff. You can see on his left as well a familiar face if you're a big fan of 125s and of course Moto 2 as well. Nico Tirol. Great to see Nico here this
Yeah,
weekend.
and indeed World Supersport podium finisher, Motorland Aragon.
I completely forgot about that. You're a big Superbike buff. You'd never have guessed though, would you?
Yeah, I know. I do love most series. MotoGP, obviously my normal job. Superbike, absolutely love it. But yeah, Nico Tirol obviously now very, very involved with that Aspar team, like as well, kind of fellow world champion Julian Simon, obviously involved with Estrella Galicia 00 Mark VDS outfit, the Monla guys, and obviously Tito Rabat as well. Plays a big part in Tito Rabat's season this year, certainly.
Certainly does. It's really good to see that as well. It's great to see some of the riders who've retired or perhaps stopped racing or on a hiatus or something like that coming and helping the younger talent, which is wonderful to see. Here's Simon Jesperson, Danish rider. Brilliant weekend for him last time out in Estoril after what was very difficult for him in Catalonia. His clutch broke in Catalonia. Had some problems in Valencia when he was running in the front group and dropped back to 6th position. But the Danish rider starts from 12th position. Again, another rider who's a bit further down the order than we would normally expect. But nonetheless, again, he just seems to really pull it out of the bag on race day. And because the racing is so close, qualifying position isn't 100% important. It's important to qualify, you know, in a good position, but nonetheless, it's perhaps, shall we say, a bit less magnified.
I think with qualifying, like Lopez just showed in Moto 3, it can make your day in a lot of ways, but I think it's quite difficult to break it because you've still got a lot of chance to be competitive, move through, get in the group, you know, keep your head, and it doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to dictate the outcome of your race.
Exactly.
Certainly, you know, with these guys, with the same machinery, etc.
Here's the grid then. So Perez, Parra, Pervalainen on the front row, Gomez, Kawakami, DF, and then the third row of the grid, Manuel Gonzalez, Joan Uvina, and Edouard Melgar on row number 3. Row number 4, the brand new entrant for this weekend, Carlos Tatai, then Alex Toledo, Simon Jesperson. Row 5 of the grid, Matteo Gregorio, Andres Vostatek, and then it's Stefano Kristin. Jamie Davis, a bit further down the order, it all sort of went wrong for him in qualifying down in 16th place, but nonetheless he had really good pace in warm-up this morning. Luis Miguel Verdugo, then Orlando Valake, then Lewis Vendeborn in row 7 in 21st place. Colin Felhazen, Vincent Falcone, Beatrice Neela on row number 8. Great result for her. Row number 10 towards the back end of the grid, Jose Suarez, and then the Scottish rider Jack Hart, who lines up in 29th and last position. Not such a busy grid as we've seen in Moto 3, but nonetheless 29 riders, all of course between the ages of 12 and 17 years old. You can guarantee there'll be fireworks in one form or another.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's quite surprising at the end of the first Moto 3 race we've had today. Not so many fireworks in the final corner. Won't give away who won, but yeah, a lot of sensible riding, you know, keeping it on the road, keeping it clean. So these guys will have to see. Jerez is the, yeah, it's a great stage for it, but I think obviously again, really full grid and equal machinery is, you know, even closer.
Always lends itself to exciting racing, and look at the grandstand as well. They're absolutely full on that start-finish straight, which is brilliant. Yeah,
it's a great crowd. It's, you know, Jerez is an amazing track, which is incentive enough. But it's a great place, great region, still great weather at this time of year. It's a really good event to come to. And like we were saying earlier on in the broadcast, the access here and the stuff you can see as a fan is incredible. Really get behind the scenes, you know, pit lane walk, etc.
Something special, that pit lane. It was so busy this morning in pit lane.
Very busy, yeah. We ducked through a garage to get into pit lane and then realised we were a little bit on show there. Huge crowds of people. So, yeah, it's great to see them all. Obviously, there's so much passion for motorcycle racing in Spain. And at a venue like this, it's great to see so many people come and enjoy it.
That was incredibly evident, of course, yesterday, as we saw with Angel Nieto in Madrid. The whole of Madrid closing down for that as well.
Pretty much. Absolutely incredible. I think they said there was around 50,000 people. Was the count. Incredible send-off for, obviously, an absolute legend, not only in Spain, worldwide, but obviously the guy that Spanish motorcycle racing really started to build foundations on, and now obviously today one of the most successful nations.
Absolutely.
On almost every grid.
It's incredible, isn't it, how the Spanish have just cut, because you look 30 years ago in Spain, there was nothing really in terms of motorcycle racing tradition. When this track opened back in 1986, believe it or not, it was seen as, oh well, it might last a few years, but potentially won't do that well, and then it just absolutely came on song. It was incredible how well they've just warmed to it, and you can see with the likes of the CEV Repsol, with the European Talent Cup, there's so many opportunities to progress and build as a rider that we just don't see elsewhere.
Definitely, I think there's been a lot of investment in motorcycle racing in Spain as well. Yeah, there's this idea of the cantera in Spanish. I think it means quarry, literally, in English. You know, all these sort of riding schools, or, you know, like the Monlau guys, obviously, is a good example now with Mark VDS. I think they've got 12, 13, 14 bikes all throughout their program, right up to MotoGP. And then, so yeah, there's loads of great opportunities, lots of good support, and then obviously support from the fans and incredible public interest, which really makes an incredible difference. But yeah, Nieto is really the forefather of what we see now. And that was incredibly evident yesterday, like you say, like all the MotoGP guys and legends themselves as well as current riders and reigning champions. So yeah, it was absolutely incredible and a fantastic send-off at Jarama.
Indeed. So this is the man who's on pole position. Andreas Perez. On the left of him is the championship leader. That's Manuel Gonzalez. Starting a bit further down the order than we'd normally see Gonzalez, in 7th position. So keep an eye out for him making some progress in the opening few corners. But 29 bikes taking to the grid. Hopefully we won't have any dramas like we had last time out for Moto 3. We're crossing our fingers and toes here in the commentary box for that, but it's Perez, then Miguel Parra, and then Pietro Pervolainen is your front row. Just to remind you once again, we get ready to get this race underway. The green flag then is waved at the back. Look to the top left corner of your screen. Wait for the red lights to come on. As soon as they go out, we will be racing for European Talent Cup race number 1 here at Jerez. Lights out, and away we go. A good start from Perez off the front row of the grid. He gets an initially good getaway. Also looks like Francisco Gomez was making some good inroads in the opening few yards of the race there. Looks like Miguel Parra's just managed to hold on to 2nd position, and also Francisco Gomez up into P3, unless my eyes are deceiving me, but still Perez leads the way. Yes, indeed, it is Gomez up to P3, and Manuel Gonzalez from 7th on the grid, already into 4th position by turn number 2. But crucially, everybody making it through the first few corners very cleanly indeed as we go through into turn 4, and everybody holding on very nicely. A couple of round the outside Dan-dare moves taking place there, and a few people running wide and using track limits to the extreme, but nonetheless everybody getting through very cleanly there.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe not using track limits more than abusing them. But no, off the start, first lap, obviously it gets a little bit hectic out there. Incredibly clean start. Really good to see everyone away and into the race now, and yeah, got a chance to start moving through or fighting it.
Ooh, somebody's out well wide there. That looks like it was one of the Honda Impala machines. That must have been Alejandro Diaz that went a little bit wide because he was in the front group at the start of this race. Big shame there for the number 27. But of course, he'll probably be able to regroup and get himself refocused and back in and amongst the mix. Maikon Kawakami looked like he was having a bit of a sneaky look up the inside of Simon Jesperson into the left-hander. Meanwhile, Jesperson's getting mugged left, right and centre. He's down in just inside the top 10, making some progress in this race, but nonetheless he's caught in and amongst the pack, which we've seen so much. But still Perez leading the way. Andreas Perez, the younger brother to Vincente. So incredible to see, really, for all of these guys holding on very nicely. And good to see the Realia Aventura Academy really working very well, because of course they're going to be hoping to be competing in the Moto 3 championship next year for these guys as well, and it could happen. Yeah,
you know, like we said earlier, there's a lot of these teams that have you know, ties throughout the different championships. So yeah, it's like I said as well, it's shop window time for a lot of these guys. You know, if they are a bit older, you know, feel like they've progressed a lot in this class. You know, it's one step on a ladder. So they'll certainly be eager to make another step.
Well, Manuel Gonzalez now holding on to 3rd position, so good result there for Gonzalez if he's able to hold on. But of course, he's got some very close competition from behind. You can just see Alex Toledo on the Cuna de Campeones machine with Alejandro Diaz very close behind through the fast right, or the left rather, of turn 4, and then into the right of turn number 5. Cite Pons. There's Manuel Gonzalez once again with the fastest lap last time around, a 1 minute 53.687. And that is incredibly impressive considering the qualifying times that the riders were saying yesterday were in the 1:52. So amazing to see.
Yeah, definitely. It really looked like he was hurrying Parra on that last lap, and now obviously it's all change.
Indeed, Parra now up at the front, leading the way from Perez. So Perez slots himself back into second position with Gonzalez close behind them, Pierre Verlainen. Then it is Johan Uvina. So Uvina's made the most of his good qualifying position in eighth place, and is doing a good job battling inside the top 5. Then just behind it's Francisco Gomez, who's making some inroads after running a little bit wide in the opening few corners. Into the right-hander we go there. Everybody doing a really good job in the opening stages of this race, and the European Talent Cup is incredibly interesting as well, because just over the race it gets so exciting, because all the riders are so young and enthusiastic and wanting to just put on the best performance that they can. Meanwhile, Perez now looking like he's coming under threat from Gonzalez. Around the outside tries Gonzalez into Lorenzo. You're not going to get through there, sunshine. Manages to hold on to second position. It does the Realia Vinter Academy rider, and now looks like he's going to be changing hands for third place, as well as Pietro Perverlainen gets a great exit, and Johan Uvina. So from third, or potentially it could have been second into that final corner, into fifth place for Manuel Gonzalez. So 2 spaces in the space of one start-finish straight.
Yeah, you can see these top 5 are starting to pull a little bit of a gap. It'd be interesting to see if those guys behind can just manage to get their heads down and tag on. Saw the rider at the lead of that second group tapping his seat over the line on the start-finish straight, obviously saying, you know, come on guys, we can do this, follow me. And then a little bit wobbly right after that, so we'll have to see. But these guys certainly at the moment look like they've got a bit of an advantage.
Indeed, so over the crest of the hill, down onto the back straight, wait for Drysack to approach these riders. It's a very important overtaking opportunity, nearly 5 wide as we go into the hairpin. Who's going to get the lead? Well, Manuel Gonzalez looks like he's going to go from 4th into the lead of the race. Incredible stuff from the championship leader. Not biting off more than he could chew at all for the Hau Courier Racing rider. Brilliant bit of overtaking there for him, and he's now up into the lead of the race with Johan Uvina and Pietro Perverlainen close behind. Andreas Perez in 4th place, and then 5th position at the moment still looks to be Miguel Parra. So I'm interested to see actually where Edouard Melgar is in this race. It looks like he's having a few problems in the opening stages. He's down in 12th position so far as Edouard Melgar. So the man who is won the race last time out, the first race at Estoril last time out, is now down just outside the top 10. So disappointing start for him there. Nonetheless, as they go through the left-hander, our commentary box vibrates with the noise of the Honda NSF 250R machines. Here comes Perez. He's up the inside and into the lead of the race, into Lorenzo. Unbelievable bit of riding. They don't mind overtaking multiple riders at all in one corner.
No, certainly not. I think that's a little bit of a warning shot for those guys. There was a lot of space left there. That was an easy move to pull off. Yeah, they'll want to make sure that door's closed come later in the race.
Indeed, through turn 1 we go. And I want to say it's a leading group, but if it is a leading group, it's a leading group of about 9 or 10 riders.
Yeah, they've really,
so close.
Since, you know, going 5 abreast into a corner tends to lead to a little bit slower of a lap time. So these guys who are on the chase certainly now right back in there, so they'll be wanting to get in that fight and stay on them.
Andreas Perez tried to find his way around the outside into turn 4, but couldn't manage to find his way through. And if he's not careful, he'll leave himself open to attack from Johan Uvina in 3rd place. But looks like, look at that, unbelievable, up the inside on the exit of the corner. Will he manage to make it stick? We're going to go 4 wide once again down this back straight, heading into the hairpin of Drysack. Is Perverlainen going to take over at the front? Will we see Perez once again trying to find his way through against 4 riders? Well, it's Perverlainen, the finished rider, who now hits the front of the race, followed by Johan Uvina and Miguel Parra. So the top 3 all change in the space of about 600 metres or so. Unbelievable stuff. Into the left-hander we go of turn number 8, and then we'll go into the right-hander of turn number 9. Perfect weather conditions here at the Circuito de Jerez. No rain. It was also resurfaced last year as well, so there's a lot of grip on the tarmac, and it's not been... it's not too abrasive. It's good grip, good tyre longevity for these riders. So, of course, everybody being in the same boat with the medium compound of tyre also. Yeah,
definitely. In that way, there's great conditions now. Obviously, like you say, resurfaced fairly recently. And I don't believe since then they've had any testing for Formula 1 here either, which can have a very big detrimental effect on some of the tracks on the World Championship calendar. So that's, you know, great surface, great weather, and yeah, they're making a great race of it. Certainly really close at the moment.
Lap 4 out of 16 we complete with Perverlainen leading the way, Johan Uvina, Andreas Perez, Miguel Parra, Manuel Gonzalez, Alejandro Diaz. I say that and it's already changed. brilliant racing going on. And Manuel Gonzalez, he's been shuffled a bit out a bit over the last couple of laps or so, hasn't he? He's just been dropped back into 5th place, so he's going to have to regroup, try and bridge that gap. He's going to have some company from behind as well if he's not too careful. So into turn 4 we go with the championship leader on that yellow and blue How Courier racing machine. Miguel Parra just in front with Alejandro Diez very close behind on the Team Honda Impala outfit. So loud and noisy, these bikes as well, aren't they?
Yeah, it's actually incredible when they come past our commentary box, sort of shakes. But yeah, I think I certainly don't. I'm not jealous of the graphics guys in races like this. How fast everything changes. It's incredible how it keeps up. But yeah, cheeky look behind there, just checking the situation. They're all spread out again a little bit, but nobody's really got too much of a gap, so they shouldn't be worrying too much about that. Just yeah, if they can just calm down and, you know, 1, max 2 at a time into a corner, and they'll shouldn't have anyone escaping too much.
Well, it's all to be very important, of course, for the championship as well, isn't it? With the likes of Simon Jesperson, Alex Toledo, Ewald Melgar, Miguel Parra and Alejandro Diez, all separated by just a handful of points, really. You could throw a blanket over them in championship terms, so we'll be interested to see how they'll be getting on and what the championship will look like after this race has concluded, with 11 laps to go here at the Circuito de Jerez. Into the left-hander we go, and then into the right-hander we go, and then into the left of Lorenzo. Alejandro Diez with Maikon Kawakami not too far behind. Kawakami doing a good job, actually, on board that PlayStation Leglise team. He's a little bit of company from behind and a few riders in front of him. The Cuna de Campeones machine, by the looks of things, of Angel Lorente. My apologies, actually, of Alex Toledo. So be interested to see how he gets on. Meanwhile, here's Miguel Parra having a sneaky look up the inside of Joe Nuvini. Couldn't quite make it stick into turn number 3. Into the left we go once more. Miguel Parra with the fastest lap on lap 5 out of 5, though. The Spanish rider on the number 26, doing a good job there in 4th place. And of course, it's going to be interesting to see whether he'll be able to close up over the next couple of corners, or indeed perhaps the next couple of laps or so. 10 laps to go. And of course, these riders are lapping about 4 or 5 seconds a lap slower than the Moto 3 machines that we saw in the last race. And of course, after this, we've got Moto 2 coming up, and that's going to be very interesting indeed. More on that later on. Meanwhile, Pevelainen still in the lead of the race, but 2nd place now changing hands as well, as Joe Nuvini gets it up the inside of Perez. So Perez now down into 3rd position, with Miguel Parra very close for company behind. But the top 4 just making a little bit of a gap there, Fran, to 5th position of Alejandro Diez at the moment. Yeah,
they seem to be. They're not getting in each other's way too much. But those guys will be wanting to tag back on the end of there. Oh, that was going to be ambitious if that had been attempted. But yeah, I mean, they've settled down again a little bit. Obviously had a flurry of activity there. But yeah, these two especially will want to really get their heads down and concentrate on making up that gap again. Because Parra's been on a mission, and he's straight back in there.
Indeed, that front row start unfortunately didn't pay dividends for him. He wasn't able to. Oh my goodness me, Maikon Kawakami getting the back end all sorts of squirrely through the left-hander of Lorenzo. Lose his track position as well to the number 99 of Carlos Tate.
Yeah, he's done that a couple of times now. Just like, I mean, pulled it off completely, but ends up a little bit wide around the getting back onto the start-finish straight, and then tapping their seat again to say follow me. You know, we'll see if anyone listens. It seems to be quite rare that the guys behind listen to that, but we'll have to see in this case. Well,
we see, of course, a very different riding style in the likes of these European Talent Cup machines compared to what we'll see in Moto 2. Moto 2, it's all about getting the back end out, sliding the bike and carrying, or getting the bike stopped rather, and getting the corner squared off, whereas on these machines it's all about momentum, all about corner speed. Meanwhile, Alejandro Diez, fastest lap. So the fastest lap is changing hand every single lap to a new and different rider, with Alejandro Diez now down inside the 1:50s. That's the fastest lap we've seen of the weekend, let alone of the race. So incredible stuff there from Alejandro Diez, and he's now ahead of Pietro Pevelainen, so up into the lead of the race for the number 27. Talk about a man on a mission. There is Alejandro Diez in the lead, so brilliant stuff there from the Team Honda Impala rider.
Yeah, definitely converted that, didn't he? You know, fastest lap, straight back up into the lead. Now see if we can keep that pace and at least stay ahead, or start to gap these guys. But I'm sure they'll. Oh, yeah.
Perez drawing up the inside.
Not really commentator's curse, but certainly spoke too soon.
Indeed, yeah, and Pevelainen's going to get hung out to dry as well. He now gets shuffled down into third position as Johan Uvina finds his way past, and he's going to be open to attack from the likes of Dief as well as Gonzalez, very close behind. But Vicente Perez riding the wheels off of that Honda. All sorts of shapes it was making through the left-hander of Ferrari, so the right-hander of Ferrari. I will get my corners, my left and right mixed up, or get it right one day. Unbelievable stuff, isn't it? Shocking. Over the timing line we go. 9 laps, soon to be 8 here at the Circuito de Jerez. Great stuff, great racing in the European Talent Cup. Hard on the brakes for Johan Uvina and up the inside of Andreas Perez, but runs it a bit wide on corner exit. He's going to go over that horrible rumble strip, bubbly stuff, and get slotted down. Here's an instant replay, and this is Perez's move into the lead from third position in the space of one corner. Brilliant stuff from the 14-year-old, doing a great job.
Yeah, really well controlled as well. You know, it looked like a bit of potential for drama there, but no, just slotted it in. No drama.
Holding it on very nicely indeed. So the leading group now of about 6 riders, all involved, have just broken away from the 7th place man of Carlos Tate, who is indeed ahead of Simon Jesperson, the man who is second in the championship. This would be a great way to open the account for Carlos Tate, the Spanish rider, of course, as we mentioned during the grid. Oh no, that's a big crash for Alejandro Diaz. He gets caught on the outside of Johan Uvina going into turn number 6. That's a big, big shame. Just looked like he had nowhere to go. Well, hopefully we'll get a replay of that. Fortunate thing, though, is that he's up and okay, but he looks absolutely inconsolable. There's Alejandro Diaz. He's absolutely devastated. He wants to get himself out of that gravel trap a bit lively as well. They move. The marshals come over the way. I've never seen marshals dressed in white before, by the way.
No, yeah. But yeah, you want to get out. I mean, obviously, it's understandable. You know, it's heartbreaking for these guys when things like this happen. It's a tiny tap there. You know, nothing too over the top, but
at that speed.
Yeah, and you know, nothing he could do about it. But yeah, definitely, you know, need to get out the gravel trap a bit quicker. It's hard to get over things like that, I think, as well. At this junior level, everything's a bit, you know, tempers are hot.
Exactly, of course it is, of course it is. They're all young riders, they all wanted to be doing their best. The fortunate thing is, if nothing else, he'll have another race to try and redeem himself a bit later on.
Yeah, exactly. This is the great thing about having 2 races on one day for these guys, you know, whether they've made a mistake themselves, whether they've fallen foul of somebody else's mistake, or even like we saw in Moto 3, if you have a problem off the start, you know. It's such a frustration if you have 1 race per weekend and then something like that, you know, gets in the way of it. I know when Nicky Hayden moved to Superbike, that was his favourite thing straight off about that series, the fact you've got 2 races. So, you know, whatever happens, first of all, more time on track, you know. If you're a professional racer, racing's, you know, that's what you're about. But yeah, Nicky was absolutely waxing lyrical about the fact that you get 2 races and you get another chance immediately to either, you know, use like Alonso Lopez. He'll now know he's already won. He knows he can do it again. That's great for him. And then some of the guys that, you know, had a bit of a worse time in that race, they'll be able to have another shot at it today and hopefully leave Jerez feeling, you know, a little bit happier.
In lap 7 out of 16, we're now at the halfway point in this race. We go hard on the brakes into, well, I say hard on the brakes, sweeping into the left-hand bend we go. And the leader, Pevelainen, is running some unusual lines on the Honda NSF 250R. Looks like he's just managing to try and maximise the corner speed. And he's trying to break away from this group, but it's so difficult to do, as we've seen throughout the course of this season. We haven't really, aside from race 2 in Valencia, seen not a lot of non-group running, as it were. They all seem to just run in packs, don't they, as we see in Moto 3.
Yeah, I think especially when you've got the long straight on most of these tracks, it's, you know, nothing quite as extreme as, you know, Mugello when you've got 1.1 kilometers just sat behind the bubble. But that can really, obviously, you know, you work all lap to get a gap, and then frustratingly you get to the long straight and there you go. They're on you again. But yeah, these guys, it seems to, certainly obviously the front half of the field seem to have really got that edge at the moment, but it keeps on concertina in back up. So with, you know, now we're into just under 6 laps to go, we'll have to see who's got what left.
Indeed, it's going to be very interesting as they go through turn number 4, because there's some very close competition that's not too far behind as well. The likes of Joe Nuvina, Michael Kawakami, and by the looks of things, Francisco Gomez. No, apologies, Joe Nuvina and also Alex Toledo, not too close behind either. So that's going to be a very interesting set of affairs. Now Simon Jesperson's in this leading group, as we can see. Of course, they've really closed up over the last couple of laps, and in turn, he has managed to bring out Toledo and Carlos Tate with him. So we could see an unbelievable debut here from Carlos Tate, potentially a top 5 finish, which would be a great way to start his account in the FIM CEV Repsol.
Yeah, definitely. It's always good to make an entrance. You know, as we like Massey is a good example of that when he's replaced Darren Binder.
Unbelievable, wasn't it?
Everyone knows that name now. Just have that one ride and really establish yourself.
And it got him a GP ride next year as well.
Well, you know, he's done other things.
He has.
But no, certainly those performances, just getting your name and in, you know, just making a name for yourself in some ways, but just showing what you can do. And backing up, you know, showing that you've got that talent across more than one series is always a positive.
Yeah, having skills, of course, that are transferable is definitely important, as we've seen the likes of Michael Kawakami, who was competing in Red Bull Rookies this year, finished actually 10th in race 1 at Jerez, the first round of the season. Meanwhile, Manuel Gonzalez manages to get the better of Andreas Perez through the final corner, and also Pietro Pervolainen, the man leading the race, didn't actually score at Jerez, but he has raced here before, which will be crucial experience for these guys.
Yeah, I think that can play a bit of a role. And especially, I think these guys, the guys who haven't ridden here before, again, like you're saying about the 2 races, now in race 2, you know, obviously still rookies, but they're not a rookie of the track anymore, at least, you know. It's not just that they've done their laps and set their times and then lined up to go racing. They've been racing, they know a bit more of the score, and hopefully it'll settle them down a little bit.
Will be exciting to see what happens, and you can see just 6 riders involved in this scrap for the lead. In fact, 7, I apologise, because Alex Toledo is also in and amongst the mix. This is going to be a very climatic end to this race, as Carlos Tate is also trying to get the better of Alex Toledo in the back row. Meanwhile, the lead of the race looks like it might be changing hands once again. Hard on the brakes goes Andreas Perez. Can't quite get 2 positions in the space of 1 corner, but one will do nicely, thank you very much, into 2nd place for the 14-year-old. So this is, I have to say, what I'm most impressed about is the maturity of their riding as well. It's so impressive how they're not banging fairings too much. They're not, you know, there's no obvious contact. They're not, you know, running widers out wide or anything like that.
No, definitely. I think you saw that off the start. Just like everyone completely super professional, super clean, off the start, slotting in to turn 1, and away we go. And that's really good, because obviously, you know, it's not just about going fast. Winning and having a long career as a racer, it's not just about going fast, otherwise everything will be decided on Saturday in qualifying.
Yeah, exactly.
So, you know, it's important for these guys as well, you know, all of the experience of racing here, whether it's just...
Oh, no, that's a huge crash, unfortunately, as looks like, I'm just trying to see from the front of the bike, it's one of the Blue Mag HMA machines. Was it Miguel Parra that went down the road, or was it the other machine? It was Carlos Tate, so the debutant, unfortunately, going down the road. I didn't recognise the leathers, and there he is going down there. He's trying to get the bike up. He can get back on it if he's able to get it running. He's looking for some assistance from the marshal. Here we go. Was he just trying to bite off more than he could chew? He was very deep on the brakes, and into his teammate. That's insult to injury is what that is, more than anything.
Definitely not, you know, don't want to be doing that to anyone, really. Certainly not your teammate, but, you know, just a little bit overly ambitious there.
Incredibly lucky also that Miguel Parra managed to stay on the motorcycle.
Yeah, definitely. In fact, we're in the right place to say his ambition slightly outweighed
his talent, yes.
No, you know, amazing ride up to that point. You know, these mistakes do happen, but like we were, you know, saying how great it is, how they're all keeping it together, and then obviously
commentator's curse coming into effect in full force, unfortunately. So that now leaves 5 riders in and amongst the scrap for the lead of the race. Miguel Parra is going to be out of this one, unfortunately. He's dropped back following that incident. Hopefully he's not lost something like a foot peg following that, or is any more damage to his motorcycle as Perez gets the better of Pervolainen into turn 8.
I think he managed to get out of it okay, just in the runoff, but still upright, and not too much drama for him, but I'm sure there'll be a few words said later about that. Yeah,
they'll be having a nice debrief after that one, I'm sure. 8th position for Miguel Parra at the moment from the leading group. It's going to be a bit of a kick in the teeth, but nonetheless, the most important thing is he's still on the motorcycle and potentially could be in contention for the victory. So I'll have to see what his results will be. But with just under 4 laps now remaining, it's going to be a very exciting and climatic end to this championship. And Alex Toledo, he's been a bit quiet in this race, but he's slowly been creeping up over the last few laps or so, and has made his way up into 3rd position. With now we come on to the 3rd but last lap. Incredibly close racing. Perez leads the way though, Pervalainen 2nd, and Toledo now in 3rd position. This is going to be very interesting into turn 1. Will he hold it on? Yes, he does. So the leader of the race now, Pervalainen, Perez in 2nd. And a big look over the shoulder for the race 2 winner from Estoril, Manuel Gonzalez. Into the right hand of turn 2, then immediately into the turn 3. The camera doesn't really do it justice for the undulation change. It really does drop away that hairpin out of turn 2, and then you go into that sweeping left of turn number 3. Brilliantly close stuff. Oh, bit out of the seat as well for Manuel Gonzalez. Is that going to allow Jesperson to move up the inside? Yes, indeed it is. Like candy from a baby, that was. Nice and easy.
Yeah, a little bit. Luckily, he's not lost too much. He can regroup, get his head down again. But you see how much can change in just one little moment for these guys, especially when they're running at the front, getting to the end of the race, you know, starting to really get to the sharp end now. So be careful not to repeat that now. I'm sure he will be.
Nearly going 4 wide also into turn number 6. That was very close indeed as Jesperson looked to try and find his way up the inside. Had to break a bit earlier and back out of it inevitably. Meanwhile, Toledo now up into 2nd place ahead of Perez. So this is going to be so exciting and so close. I mean, who would you pick? Who do you think's got the edge? Anybody?
I honestly don't know at the moment, because, you know, those guys... Some of those guys have been a little bit further back, obviously been waiting, now really starting to make a move. Like Jesperson seems to be really sort of picking them off, man on a mission now. Now we're getting to the end of the race, or just a few laps to go. But I don't know. I don't think there's anyone that's really
stand out.
Well, you know, I think they're all stand out at the moment. Obviously, they're at the front. They've made that gap, but I think. Yeah, I think the last couple of laps are going to decide a lot. I don't think anyone's going to manage to really pull away at this point.
One of the things I love about this championship as well is you get a team like Realia Vinter Academy, of course, who have got connections in MotoGP, connections in the Moto3 Junior World Championship, a real way to progress up the ladder. And then you get the likes of Simon Jesperson, who's a complete family-run team. They've bought the bike, they've painted it, and they come here and they race every weekend. And look at the way they're doing inside the top 5. It's just brilliant.
Exactly. This is exactly what these championships are for. You know, there's a few great ones now with great support incentives, and, you know, genuinely really achievable to get a start on the world stage. Like, this is a good example as well. And then World Supersport 300 is another great example. Obviously, Hal Courier as well, run backs in that championship. So yeah, it's really good now. I think there's been so much effort and investment put into making sure that the talent can keep coming through.
Oh, sorry, I was going to say it's very close. It looked like something might be happening there with Alex Toledo. Sorry, as you were.
No, definitely. Maybe, you know, 1.5 laps to go, not the best time to wax lyrical about the future of motorcycle racing. But definitely, yeah, I mean, there's so much opportunity now. You know, it's more up to you to take it and up to you to get yourself in the position to get more of it. So it's great. Things like this, like I said, World Supersport 300. And Jesperson's a great example.
Absolutely. Well, the top 8 riders all separated by just a second or so. You could throw a blanket over them, as Andreas Perez is now out in front as we go through the final sector into Ferrari and then the final corner of Lorenzo for the penultimate time. Who's going to win the race? Well, we'll find out in just over 4.5 kilometres. Chattering on the front end for Andreas Perez. Second place of Pietro Pervalainen. This is going to be very interesting indeed. Meanwhile, number 43 of Simon Jesperson now in podium contention with Alex Toledo very close behind. Miguel Parra and Maikon Kawakami also in the mix, and Francisco Gomez. Into turn 1 we go for the final time of asking. Jesperson looks to try and find a way up the inside of Andreas Perez. No way through for the Danish rider there. On the brakes into turn number 2. Here comes Toledo in 4th place. Trying a different line, but no opportunities being presented.
Yeah, definitely. I think Jesperson's honing in on it now. Man on a mission. But yeah, I mean, where would you want to be going into that final corner? If you think there's going to be a move and there's a group at the front, do you want to be first? Do you want to be second? Do you want to be third?
Exactly. Do you want to be completely out of it and just pick up the pieces afterwards?
Indeed, maybe. A little bit of a, not so optimistic.
No, sorry.
but no, definitely. I mean, I think Jesperson will know that there's a big chance right at the end of the lap. And I think that's also means these guys, you don't have to choose.
Ooh, that was very close, and that's going to knock P2 Pevalainen out of contention. He goes wide at dry sack, and now Jesperson's into the lead of the race nearly. Or does Perez get it back on the exit? Yes, indeed he does. So the top three now is Perez, Jesperson and Toledo. Then it's P2 Pevalainen. Let's have a look at that incident once again as we went into the hairpin, and very close. It was almost a carbon copy of what we saw with the riders earlier on into that corner.
Yeah, completely. Luckily, not the same fate as his teammate there.
Goodness gracious me, into the right-hander we go. It wasn't long before the goodness gracious me came out into effect. It had to wait until the European Talent Cup race, though, into the right-hander of turn number 10. Just a few corners remaining for these guys in the European Talent Cup. At the moment, it's going the way of Andreas Perez. Then second place is Alex Toledo, and it looks like Jesperson's lost out in the closing stages of this race because he's now down into P number 5. Looks like Perez is going to have to hold on to it unless we're going to think about a Dander move for Toledo. He tries to find his way through, but there's no opportunities being presented, and out of the final corner we go. It's going to be the Realia Vintia Academy rider Andreas Perez. What a race victory in race number 1 here at the European Talent Cup. Second place goes the way of Alex Toledo. Incredible stuff. P2 Pevalainen rounding out the podium for the Finnish rider. 4th place was Miguel Parra, 5th Simon Jesperson, 6th Michael Kawakami, 7th Manuel Gonzalez, 8th Francisco Gomez, 9th Joan Uvina, and 10th was Edouard Melgar. But what a race. What a great way to end it as well.
Yeah, Jesperson really lost out there on the final half of that lap. And wow, those
two teammates getting very close and hot under the collar. That was number 25 of Edouard Melgar and his fellow teammate as well, getting very close with Ferran Hernandez also in and amongst the mix.
Yeah, definitely. Those photo finishes are the greatest thing about these lower categories.
This is it. What a brilliant way for Andreas Perez to take the victory here in the European Talent Cup at the Circuito de Jerez. He'll be talking to Fran in Parc Ferme in a few minutes' time. Alex Toledo, a brilliant second place after starting quite far down the order for Alex Toledo. Down in 11th position he was, so up into second at the end of the race. They're trying to pull some wheelies on these 250cc single-cylinder machines. It's not the easiest thing to do, but nonetheless a very impressive feat. P2 Pevalainen there, the Finnish rider, in 3rd position. A great result there for him, and I'm actually just having a quick look at his stats, and indeed the best result, his first ever podium in the European Talent Cup. A brilliant race for him. He'll be absolutely ecstatic to celebrate with the Blumac HMA Racing team. So the riders now, of course, on their cooling down lap. Don't go anywhere, by the way, because we've got Moto 3 on the way next, and that is going to be one exciting race. Sorry, Moto 2, I should say, rather, on the way next for you. That is going to be one exciting race. We'll tell you more about that in a few moments' time. But there is Andreas Perez on the Realia Vintia Academy rider. The team were absolutely beside themselves when he took his first ever pole position in qualifying yesterday, and it looks like they're going to be absolutely ecstatic today as well, and quite rightly so. What a race victory, and what a level of maturity he showed, especially on those last couple of laps. Brilliant racing in the European Talent Cup, demonstrating exactly why it deserves the title that it has. And of course, one of these riders inside the top 5 in the championship will be going through to the Moto 3 Junior World Championship in 2018 as well. So we're looking forward to that, especially because, of course, the talent that we've seen coming through is going to be incredible. Let's not forget, of course, it's not the only Talent Cup that's going to be running next year as well. We've got the British Talent Cup making its debut in 2018, which we're very much looking forward to. Here, though, are the final results from that race. As we can see, Andreas Perez taking what was a brilliant victory. 2 Spaniards inside the top 2, with Alex Toledo just missing out on the victory by 75 hundredths of a second. P2 Pevalainen in 3rd place. Miguel Parra was 4th. Simon Jesperson in P5. Michael Kawakami, the Brazilian rider, in 6th place with Manuel Gonzalez and Francisco Gomez. All those 8 riders inside the leading group. Just inside the top 10 was Edouard Melgar with his teammate Ferran Hernandez very close behind. Matthew Gregorio, Adrian Fernandez, Andres Vostatek and Vincent Falcone completing the points positions. There is Andreas Perez, though, popping a stoppie into Parc Ferme and getting ready to congratulate his team and be congratulated by them as well. What a race for him. Absolutely spectacular stuff. Just 14 years of age he is, and displaying already the amazing characteristics that we're able to see in the stars of the future. So we'll have to wait and see whether he does, of course, make it into the Moto 3 championship next year. But I'm sure after that performance, he will be a very, very popular man in the paddock. Alex Toledo as well, a great result for him. Likewise, we could see these guys making Moto 3 next year. it's all to play for. The shop window is well and truly open at the business end of the season. Some brilliant racing going on throughout the entirety of the field. And let's not forget, we've got another European Talent Cup race coming up later on this afternoon. The grid, of course, is decided by the qualifying guest today. It doesn't change after the first race. So we're looking forward to that one in particular. It's going to be a very, very exciting race later on. If this one was anything to go by, of course, you can see the team congratulating him in the Parc Fermé area, and the pit lane here in Jerez is very much alive with the sound of motorcycles, or it will be in a few moments when the Moto 2 machines are, of course, fired up to get them out on track for their sighting lap. Lots on that in a few moments' time, because the championship is very, very close, especially between the top two riders. In the meantime, let's go down to Parc Fermé and talk to the race winner, Andreas Perez. She's with Fram Wild.
Okay, an incredible win today. How does that feel here on home turf in Jerez? Happy?
Yeah, I'm very happy because it was an amazing race. You know, this race is so important for me for the championship. And well, at the start I tried to push, but I see that all the riders were behind me, and I say, okay, now it's time to feel good. And well, at the two last laps I pushed hard with Pavilainen. I touched them, but well, an amazing last lap. So I have to say thank you to the team, because amazing team, and especially for my mother and my father, because they are helping me all the days.
¿Y ahora en castellano?
No, la verdad es que ha sido un fin de semana increíble, mucha calor y nada, el asfalto era muy abrasivo, las gomas al final estaban destrozadas, entonces he pensado la carrera, he intentado tirar muy fuerte, pero he visto que no, entonces he reservado y en la última vuelta he tirado fuerte. Y nada, muy contento, agradecérselo al equipo, porque confían mucho en mí y eso es lo que me hace estar aquí arriba.
Gracias.
A ti.
What a fantastic race from Andreas Perez. You can see he's delighted as well, and what a character he is too. Away from the lights, it was Perez who led the way. However, there were some great starts from behind, and a very clean getaway all the riders got into the first corner. However, Miguel Parra slid himself up into second position, but Andreas Perez led the way through that first corner. Very close behind as all the riders looked to try and chop and change positions. Manuel Gonzalez looked very threatening in the opening stages of that race, but it's had a bit of an interesting result over the last couple of rounds. So let's have a look and see into the hairpin of Lorenzo. Andreas Perez going to lead back on Manuel Gonzalez, who of course led the way very, very briefly. There's the team watching on. They were waiting in great anticipation. They went 4 wide down the straight. Johan Uvenia, Pierre-2 Pervolainen coming into play. And then there was this incident, well, the incident we'll see in a few laps' time, that really did define the race for one of the riders. We'll talk about that in just a couple. Meanwhile, the lead then changed. Alejandro Diaz hit the front. Pierre-2 Pervolainen and Andreas Perez with a brilliant move, third to first in the space of one corner through turns 9 and turn 10. Incredible stuff from the 14-year-old Spaniard. Here we go. This was the incident that defined the race for Alejandro Diaz. He unfortunately tangled with Johan Uvenia, sending him out of the race. He was understandably inconsolable after the incident. He was very, very upset, but nonetheless, the fortunate thing was that he was okay. Meanwhile, then Pervolainen hit the front, but not for long, as Perez once again got it back. But this was the incident that was very defining for the Blue Mac HMA racing team. Carlos Tate, the rider, of course, making his debut this weekend, and the reigning Moravaki Junior Suzuki Cup champion, unfortunately colliding with his teammate Miguel Parra, sending him down the road. Meanwhile, the lead then changed, or tried to, as Pervolainen was very optimistic going around the outside. They touched Pervolainen and Perez, and then to the line it was the number 77 who took the victory, with Alex Toledo coming home in second, and Pierre-2 Pervolainen rounding out the top 3 here for race 1 of the European Talent Cup. What a way to get the racing action underway for the European Talent Cup. Let's not forget, of course, we've got 2 races for European Talent Cup today, 2 races for Moto 3.
Alex Toledo, Andreas Perez. Fuerte el aplauso
now making their way to
para
the podium.
ellos, componentes
Third
del
place
podio
man
de
of
esta
Pierre-2
primera
Pervolainen
carrera
on the left of your screen.
Talent Cup.
Second place of Alex Toledo
Don
now on the
Santiago
left-hand side
Galván,
of the podium.
del Circuito de Jerez,
Andreas Perez, the race victor after that one.
El jefe de equipo del Real Vinci
Santiago
Academy, el
Galván
equipo
presenting the
vencedor de la
trophy to
jornada
the
de hoy.
Real
Fuerte el
Vinci
aplauso para
Academy
él.
team.
Buen trabajo del equipo en el fin de semana.
Very happy with that one.
el señor Lincoln Pérez, miembro del CCR de la Federación Internacional de Motociclismo, hace la propia entrega al trofeo al tercer clasificado, al piloto finlandés Pitu Pavilainen. Magnífica carrera, comandando lo más alto de la misma hasta prácticamente la última vuelta. De la misma manera, el señor Lincoln Pérez hace entrega también del trofeo acreditativo al segundo clasificado, el español Alex Toledo. Y finalmente, don Santiago Galván, vicepresidente del Circuito de Jerez, entrega ese trofeo acreditativo de su gran victoria al piloto español Andreas Perez. Victoria, alegría y por supuesto reconocimiento con Repsol, el cheque de carburante gratis de Repsol. El señor Sergio Sánchez Robles, en representación de Repsol, hace entrega de ese cheque de carburante gratis al vencedor Andreas Perez. Fuerte el aplauso para los componentes de este podium de la primera carrera de la European Talent Cup en homenaje al vencedor Andreas Perez. Escuchamos el himno nacional de España.
National anthem time.
Fuerte el aplauso para el podio.
Andreas Perez, the race winner here for the European Talent Cup, race number 1 at the Circuito de Jerez.
Trabajo del equipo.
Gas card.
Tiempo de fiesta, la gaseosa también, por supuesto, es protagonista en este podium, primer podium.
Indeed.
The
petrol check.
Ahí está andando, espectáculo en la pista.
Sounds good though, does it?
I don't know,
Para disfrute de los que hoy estamos compartiendo esta jornada de domingo
white CV shirt
en
that
el
you're wearing here
circuito
in
de
the
velocidad de
commentary
Jerez.
Indeed.
There we go, here we go. So let's have a look at the championship standings after that race. Manuel Gonzalez still does lead the way, but it's all changed further down because Alex Toledo now up into second place, 11 points adrift of the lead of the championship. We could have a new leader by the end of today. Simon Jesperson, 19 points away, now in third position. Andreas Perez with that win up into fourth position, 25 points away. And Edouard Melgar, Miguel Parra to the top 6, only separated by just over a race win.
Yeah, it's still super close, and Jesperson won't be too disheartened with that and not getting on the podium. I'm sure he'll be wanting to change that later.
All about consistency, especially in a championship as short as this. Alejandro Diez in 8th place, Francisco Gomez just inside the top 9 as well. Joe Nuvina's inside the top 10, and Pieter Pervalainen with that third place finish. He moves up into 11th in the championship from 14th, so a good 3-place gain for him.
Yeah, great solid result for him. Gives him a big boost up, that nice big haul of points. So I'm sure he'll be happy with that, and again looking to build on it later.
Indeed, the final runners on the order: Adrian Fernandez, Stefano Cristin, Val Cañero, who is absent this weekend, big shame for him, Colin Phelps-Hazen, Callum Blackwell and Victor Alonso. The 25-point scorers, 25 point scorers, in considering we only have a grid of about 30, is incredible.
Yes, it really is. It just shows how competitive it can be, and that you really do have a chance. You know, you're not just an auto-ran ever. You've got a real chance to get up in there and score points and have a say in the result of the race.
Absolutely. Well, next up it is the Moto 2 European Championship. We look forward to that in just a couple of moments' time. It's going to be very, very exciting. The championship is very close at the top between Ricky Cardus and Eric Granado, and it's going to be a very, very exciting day. Only one race for these guys as well, so that's going to be ever more important.
Yeah, definitely. They know now or never for those guys today. Obviously, they're the guys that have only one race today, so should be a good race, I think. Cardus on home turf.
Eric Granado on the back of 4 victories as well.
Indeed.
It's going to be an exciting thing.
I think Ricky Cardus will be looking to try and end that today, and obviously he had a good gap in qualifying. He's looked not a class of his own. They're pretty close, but I think he'll be feeling pretty solid going into this race.
We can see the fans are already flocked into the circuit, and they're very much looking forward to the Moto 2 race as we are as well. It's going to be wonderful. Nice to see the younger fans also in the motorcycle racing paddock.
Yeah, definitely. I think you get this so much in Spain and in Italy. Just so many different types of people come to the races, and it's great to see. You know, all generations.
All from all walks of life. People who come on their motorcycles. We you can see with the gent on the right-hand side with the leathers on his the leather trousers. And yeah, brilliant to see. Absolutely wonderful. It's such a big community in Spain, really, more than anything, isn't it, motorcycle racing? And
yeah, definitely. It's a great place to come and watch it, and a great place to race.
Absolutely. We're looking forward to that. It's going to be a very, very exciting Moto 2 race coming up for you very, very shortly, which we're excited to bring you. We'll talk more about qualifying in a few moments' time as well, because it was very interesting yesterday, especially for the NTS team. And we're very excited to be talking to you about that. But the hillside of Andalusia looks like it's bathed in sunshine, as do the fans here. It's not too hot, it's not too cold either, which is perhaps one of the most important things. It's not so hot that you can barely move, but it's also not too cold as well. So everybody here in shorts and t-shirt, quite understandably, which is really good to see. So looking forward to bringing you the Moto 2 European Championship race along the way in just a couple of moments' time. So the Circuito de Jerez, the fans are in, we're ready. I hope you're ready at home as well, wherever it is you're watching in the world. Thank you so much for joining us. My name's Tom Brooks. Alongside me for today is Fran Wild. And there's even a bit of love in the air, which is always good to see. Anyway, Moto 2 European Championship race along the way in just a couple of moments' time.